As a Hungarian Jew, aged 7 in 1944, I myself had to wear the yellow star, and 15 members of my extended family died in Auschwitz. On Holocaust Memorial Day, I want to keep their memories alive. At the same time, it is also a commemoration and expression of solidarity with the one ongoing genocide, which is really a repeat of the Holocaust in Gaza. And we want to make clear that those who had experienced the Holocaust will not want to repeat it against anybody.
I'm the daughter of Lieselotte Judas, who was born in Germany and had to flee at the age of 18 in 1939. It's incredibly important to me to make a connection on Holocaust Day, which is the day when we remember the Jewish Holocaust, that we also remember, as Jews in particular, that there is an ongoing Holocaust at this very moment as we speak in Palestine. Something which absolutely fills us with horror, the Jewish people who came here today, and so many Jews whose voices we feel are not being heard. Our opposition to what is being done supposedly in our name is not really being recognized by the press, by the media, and so we have felt it very important to come here today, particularly to the cenotaph. Cenotaph means empty tomb, and I think it's particularly appropriate that we remember those in the Holocaust who did not get a burial, who remained unburied, just as we remember those Palestinians under the rubble, thousands of them, who remain unburied today.
My father was Jewish in Poland when the war started, and he was pushed into the Łódź ghetto within months of the Nazis invading, along with his family and tens of thousands of other Jews in Łódź, where they were deprived of healthcare, of clean water, of enough food. And within a year or so, my grandmother had died of disease, my uncle had died of disease, and tens of thousands of others had died of disease. This is how the Holocaust in Poland started. It didn't start with a simple extermination of Jews through gas chambers and such. It started as a process. And what we're seeing in Gaza at the moment is the beginning of that kind of process, the extermination of the people of Palestine. As far as we can tell, they've murdered something like 100,000 people. How many more will die, we don't know. But until our British government stops arming Israel and supporting this genocide, who knows? It really is beyond anything. And I think it's so important on Holocaust Memorial Day that we commemorate the suffering of all genocides and don't create a hierarchy where only some genocides matter and others don't, which unfortunately is what our government are doing.
This is an alternative commemoration of the memory of the Holocaust. The official one, they decided to exclude any reference to the one Holocaust, the one genocide that is going on in front of our eyes, the Gaza genocide.
There was a laying of a wreath to the victims of the Nazi Holocaust against the Jews, and also a wreath for those in Gaza who've died over the past year. In other words, we were commemorating two genocides. Also, there was a 3 minutes silence for all the victims of genocide, which I think is the only appropriate way we should commemorate Holocaust Memorial Day.
We feel particularly strongly that the Holocaust is being exploited, and anti-Semitism is being exploited hugely as a way of, I would say, closing down many people who would like to support the Palestinians in their struggle and in their suffering for fear of being labelled anti-Semitic. And I would make a very strong distinction between anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism.
Well, there's no greater insult to the victims, the Jewish victims and other victims of Nazi crimes, than to use that suffering to justify further crimes. Well, you're showing me destruction in Gaza, I think, from on high, and you're showing me, I presume, tanks have made marks in the earth in Gaza, showing the Star of David.
This is completely shocking, and it shows that not only are they perpetrating a genocide, they're actually celebrating it, and it is sadistic.
I mean, Gaza now looks like Nagasaki after the war. There's nothing. There's no hospitals, there's no schools, there's no homes. It is just rubble. And to actually inscribe that in a sort of, as a victory almost, by putting the Jewish symbol there, I find completely shocking.
Never again can only mean one thing. It is never again for anyone. Not a selective never again, where you say that the crimes of the West don't count as genocide, whereas the crimes of our official enemies do count as genocide. This, unfortunately, is the argument coming from the American and British governments. We really shouldn't let Keir Starmer get away with commemorating the Holocaust and claiming he's against genocide. He himself is directly responsible for thousands of people who've died in Gaza. I really don't think we should commemorate genocides with people who are committing genocides. It's a pretty obvious moral point, but it's one that unfortunately we've got ourselves into.
I noticed that Benjamin Netanyahu made a statement at Yad Vashem saying the never again is now. And that was a clear reference to the Holocaust of World War II as a justification of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. And I thought that was sacrilegious and a provocation. And the term never again in our use has a completely different meaning. It means that we learned the lesson of the First World War II Holocaust and never again a repeat of it against any people.
Anyone who has watched the official media in Britain over the past year will know they have one clear line on the Jewish community, and that is that it is a community that is very upset about any criticisms of Israel, and this is simply unequivocally untrue. And that is why I think Double Down News and other alternative media are so important. If you can afford to, please join Double Down News on Patreon.